So in this tutorial, we're going to add our estimations to our Revit. And the way we're going to be doing that is we're going to be type coding the different components. To start with, we're going to click on one component. And once you click on it, you can go up under Sigma Estimates up here. And you can click on the one that's called Element Properties, or you could use the shortcut EP. Once you click EP, it opens the element properties. Up here, you'll always have the name of it, and we need to change the type parameters. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in here and we're going to go down to the one that's called type code. I'm going to press in this area, and this little dialog box is going to be appearing. I'm going to press on it. Once you press on it, it opens a new dialog box. In this dialog box, you need to go to your setup. In your setup, you click here and you go down and you find where your estimation is. My estimation is this one. So I'm going to click open to that. And once I click open, I want it to assign the value from a Sigma field based upon the number. And optional assign value is the text, is the identity data description. Go back to the value, and under the value you now get these options. And what I can see is I have an object, a generic object of 47. I can go down to 4 and I can go down to 47 roof surfaces, and I can say, okay, this is what I'm going to be applying to this component. Once you found the component, or the what you call it, the area what you're going to add to this component, you mark it, press OK, and then you see it gives it the number that you created in your Sigma, the estimation number, and that's the same number. If I look over in my building journal, or building component journal, if I go down here, I can see roofs applied. It's the same number, the original Sigma number, and the type code that I renamed it to. So I press OK to that. Then I want you to press SA to select all of the same instances, and press HH to do a temporary hide. Then you're going to pick a new component, press EP, go into the fan type parameters, go down to the one called type code, click on it once, then click on this little grip or dialog box. And again, if you forget which number it has, you can just pull this down and you can see up here, okay, it's a 27. I'm going to go into roofs, and in this occasion I know that it's going to be, they're the same. One of them just has a slope roof and the other one is a flat ceiling, and the other one slope ceiling. I'm going to press this one. I'm going to say OK again. I'm going to press SA to select all, HH to hide it. Continue with the rest of the components, and at the end we're going to export it. Now that we've given all our components in the Revit model a type code, we can go ahead and we can press HR. Now we're ready to export the quantities from our Revit model to Sigma. And what you need to do is you're going to go up to Sigma Estimates up here. You're going to go into Settings. In Settings, you need to do following things. On your configuration, you have some areas that are, for instance, called pieces. That's going to be strict in Sigma. You're going to have something called meters and Revit units, and that's going to be in Danish, løbende meter or running meters. Another thing you need to be aware of is the object type parameter. It's type code, and element parameter is also type code. Then we want to export all the parameters, all available. Under export, you're going to sort exported elements by text, and we want to create a new file. Up here, group by type code and exported elements. If we click on this one, we have some areas that we can export. And what would I would recommend that, for instance, something like balusters, you remove export from that, and just use your common sense to what is it you're exporting. For instance, generic models. Do you want to export door handles, supports? Do you want to export your terrain? Do you want to export your building pads? Really don't have any purpose in you exporting them. Another thing you need to be aware of is when you export your project. When you export the project, you need to be aware of some of the components. For instance, foundations here, they stand to running meters. But before Revit and Sigma can understand each other, you need to do some small alterations to how it's going to export it. And the way you're going to be doing that is, if I go up to my foundations, they're hidden under walls. If I go down to, let me see, this one for instance, this one needs to be in length and in meters. So make sure it's in length and meters. If it isn't, all you have to do is, most common, it stands in area, and to default you just click on it here and you click on the main title, not down in the material below, but in the main title. You click up here, you go down and you find length, or you could press L, and then over here you place it under M for meters. Do realize that a lot of these components could, for instance, be under pieces, and if it's the same thing, you just click on it. It could be a ceiling, for instance. Ceilings have a tendency to be in pieces. Again, what you do, you can click on it and say, what is it over in my Sigma estimation? Is it running meters? Then it needs to be length and meters. If it's square meters, it needs to be area and square meters out here. Once you've done that and you check that all your components are in the right settings, for instance, area to square meter, length to meter, you could have some pieces, but it's not that often you have it. But anyway, check in Sigma to make sure you export it correct. Once you've done that, you can press OK, and you're actually ready to send it to Sigma. So go ahead and say, do yourself a favor, press OK once, and then the next thing you can say send to Sigma here. But be aware, hide your project, or not hide it, save it, sorry, and then send to Sigma, because sometimes it has a tendency to crash. If you have a lot of objects that are heavy for it to export, it may crash. But otherwise, press send to Sigma, and what happens, it starts exporting the elements to Sigma, and it creates an individually file afterwards. Once Revit is finished with exporting the data, it opens it over in Sigma, and it looks like this. But we're going to be looking on how to get this updated with our estimation in the next video. I hope you can use it, and thanks for watching.